All right, now that we've got the Stripe product configuration all set up, we've got Webflow ready. Now it's time to move into the really fun code stuff. So now it's time to get into Firebase, and this is where the function comes into play that actually generates a valid and secure Stripe session token. And that's kind of the tricky piece, the technical piece that trips up a lot of people. But honestly, it's just one JavaScript function that you need to run in a Firebase Cloud Function. It's fully scalable. It's very cheap to operate. It just requires a little bit of code comfort. So let me show you how that goes. So the first thing you're going to want to do is create a new project for your new funnel. So I already have one going. I'm just going to click into that. This is my app funnel system. And this is where we get into Firebase really being like a foundation for your software business. It's more than just a funnel that you slap together for one client. Can be kind of your centerpiece for all of your funnels. It comes with so many different tools that you can use to extend your business beyond just funnels. So you can have user sign up and authentication, which is really easy to work with. Um, Databases, which is, you can do all kinds of things with real-time databases, highly scalable, hold massive amounts of data. Same with the storage. You can keep audio files, PDFs, whatever you need in the storage section of Firebase. Again, highly scalable. And you can host static web pages here if you choose not to use Webflow. Um, you can obviously do the cloud functions. That's where we're going to get into the functions piece of Firebase right now to support our funnel trifecta. But you can also do some really cool stuff with machine learning. There's a lot of stuff that comes out of the box that Firebase does for you. But if you really want to dive deep into getting into machine learning, it's an easier, it's not as steep of a learning curve as you might think, and Firebase makes it way more approachable. But it's definitely in the weeds of technical stuff. So with that said, let's get into the functions portion. I think this is where it really gets interesting for the funnel trifecta. Um, what's going to happen is you're going to have a single function in here, and it's going to be called get checkout session. And so you'll need to take note of this URL after you actually deploy the code. We'll come back to that, but before you can actually get to this point, you're going to need to download one piece of software on your computer, and it's called Node.js. If you go to nodejs.org, you can download it there, and it will work on any platform, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you're using. You'll be able to get Node to run. So first thing is go download Node.js, install it. There's already walkthroughs on how to do that. I'll let you check those out if you have any trouble. But once you've got Node installed, then you'll actually want to run one command, which is npm install -g Firebase tools. Okay, and that's going to install the commands for you on your computer to work with Firebase and deploy your single function. So I know this starts to get really nerdy, but if you open up Terminal in your Mac, or if you have Windows, you can open up PowerShell or whatever product you have. There should be a way to run a command, and there's lots of tutorials on how to run a shell command, but what you'll need to do is run npm install -g Firebase tools, what I have here, after you've installed Node.js. So once you've done that, then you're all set to actually be officially a coder. Okay, you're gonna get to deploy your own code, which is really an exciting point. So once you've got Node installed, let's move on to the actual snippets of code that I'm going to give you for free. Like this is just linked up in the description. So take a look, and you can steal this and use it for yourself and easily modify it for what you need. So the one function that we're going to have running in Firebase Cloud Functions is this session function. Now there's a lot going on here. If you're not familiar with looking at JavaScript code, it might be a little overwhelming, but I promise it's not that difficult. There are some things here that are important to call out. One is the success URL. Now that is where you want your buyer to go after they've successfully completed a purchase. I'll show you how to configure that in the next video. Another one is a cancel URL. That's what happens if they decide not to purchase and they bail out of your funnel. Where do they go after that? It could be a downsell. It could be another landing page, whatever you need to do, you can have that option to spit them out on another page that's separate from your buyer success or thank you page. You can, if you already have their email address, you can pass in the email and Stripe will automatically capture that. That means you don't need to ask them for their email address again, which is really nice. So if you have somebody coming from, let's say, an email list, you might already know their email, so there's no point in asking them for their email again. So again, just making that funnel more slippery. Anything you can do to get them through that buy funnel faster. The user ID, some people need to link this up with like a user authentication system. That is an option that is supported here. You could link this up to like a user in your database or CRM, but it is totally optional. So once you have those things configured, if you choose to, the secret sauce is just where the code calls Stripe, the Stripe API, to create a session based on all this configuration. I mentioned earlier you're going to need the price ID from when you created your product and price in Stripe. This is where you plug it in here. I mentioned the other configuration information like the secret that you also got from Stripe. You'll need to put that in here and here. Anywhere you see to do, TODO, is a place where you need to put in your own configuration information. So once you've kind of plugged in all of those TODO to do placeholders, you're good. There's 3 of them in here. Then you just need to deploy that to Firebase. And you've just become a coder, you wrote some code. Now it's time to take your code to the world, which is really exciting. So you want to deploy this code. Once you save that file, what you're going to need to do is create a new Firebase project in here. I can do a more detailed video on that. It's kind of its own thing. But essentially, once you've got that set up, all you'll need to do is run this command. And that will deploy, just Firebase deploy. That command here, my terminal, will deploy this cloud function to Firebase to create secure session tokens for my Stripe checkout. So once you deploy, it's going to give you a URL at the end, which is going to be what I called out earlier, this get checkout session URL. That is what you're going to need to add as the final step to the snippet of JavaScript that goes in your actual Webflow page that connects the buy button. That is kind of the missing link here to make it all work. When they click buy, we need to actually send them to that checkout experience. So I will show that in the next video.